Hi, welcome to my video. So I'm Jennifer Roberts and this is True Divine 44. I appreciate you all being here, listening. We had an awesome live stream yesterday where I did the tarot for the week ahead. So check that out, see what resonates with you, see what you can take from it that will add to your greatness. That is my intent when I do those videos. So, and please continue to share out my content. It really does help bring work in for me to sustain myself and my family. And so this is where I really, really appreciate you taking the time to hit some buttons and share out the content and listen, of course. Leave a comment. I really do appreciate the comments and get back to them as soon as I can. But I do read them immediately almost, just and I love what people are saying and I appreciate that so much. So that being said, this is a writing on the wall and it is about balance, I suppose. It's about the yin and the yang, the divine feminine, divine masculine, light and the dark. And what that actually means, because there seems to be an indoctrination in the spiritual community of good and bad, and the organized religion has seeped in and infected spirituality. Organized politics has seeped in and infected spirituality and really created a fixed state in many aspects of it. And the good, bad, the light and the dark, the woman, the man, the divine feminine, divine masculine, all seem very separate. They all are put in their boxes, so to speak, little boxes on the hillside. That song is so cool because it hits on the points so well. It always comes to mind. And so this is where we see that in that fixation, it actually limits our inner standing of esoteric knowledge, but it also limits the capacity to play this game that we are seemingly in. And so I just wanted to speak not so long, but a little bit on balance and the yin and yang and the symbology behind it. And so, and this is not exhaustive because I could talk about yin yang, divine feminine, divine masculine all day and still not be done. And so this is just a thought process going through that aspect of spirituality. So I'll share the screen. Let's see, share. So we've got here, if I've shared the screen there, I hope you can see it all right. We have got here the, oh, making you go dizzy, the yin and the yang symbol. And so the divine feminine, divine masculine, we have here the way that it's hit is that it is in the shape of phi, and you could sort of color this in. I'll just find a pen. Should have done this beforehand. You could sort of put this in as, hold on, move me, as red and blue in that Santos Bonacci speaks about, the red shift, blue shift. Neither being wrong or right in the fixated sense that organized religion for the great part and politics has seeped into spirituality to keep it very fixed. This is your wholeness. This is your divine feminine and your divine masculine. I'll try and make this bigger so we can see a bit better. So your divine feminine, I ain't gonna work that pen, and your divine masculine. And this is where the light and the dark, this is where the dark woman manifests, and the sun here. So you could have the sun here and the moon here. The creation thing, this energy creates things, it creates other beings, it creates creative projects, it creates things within yourself. And this is because it is this phi symbol, if you look. And so having both of these in balance, and the divine feminine, divine masculine, creates this balance between the two that spins the wheel, like the wheel of fortune, yeah, in the tarot deck. But you can see that this pathway is not straight. Phi is not straight. It's not even equal at either side, but the two sides coming together create a whole. And so this is where you can see that the road is bendy, the long and bendy road, long and curvy road, is it? That song. And this is where you can see that this is a path here between the two. Now, this is where you would want to be predominantly most of the time, in the middle, in the middle ground, balance, where you can assess things from a much more powerful place if you are balanced. We all know that you get into arguments and the toxic divine feminine can come out, and you know, those words like daggers, you know, going through your skull and through your heart are intense, and we can engage in the divine masculine, the more toxic side, if you want. And this is for want of better words. You know, you can put that into, you know, you start taking action and breaking the damn things, you know, to be able to diffuse the energy, transmute the energy. And this was a place of transmutation from an imbalanced place. So they're losing their energetic force. They're not in connection with the divine feminine in its divinity and the divine masculine in its divinity. In order to be able to walk this path that is not straight, there are going to be things, continuous things that come up that make you bend, like the Page of Wands, make you follow the path in a different, slightly different way. But if you're doing it like on a tightrope, in from that balanced position, drawing from these two energies as and when needed, in equal doses, some not so equal, but you know, balancing the two out and putting that into the equation of any experience that you are in. So though a lot of you might be feeling downhearted because we've been given this narrative of the end is nigh, we've been given this narrative of, you know, there seems to be like a line, and within the narrative, this being the narrative, again, it's the same narrative, different name. So religious type narrative that has been transferred onto politics, has been transferred onto influencers. And so within this narrative, there is this end goal, this end game, where there is this light at the end of the tunnel where something big is going to happen and everybody will see. And you know, that is the awakening. Whereas they don't see that the awakening has been continuously happening within themselves on this bendy path that is nothing to do with this narrative, because this narrative is a false imprisoning loop. It is only surface level. It is in a straight line, and there's very little creations and creativity that can be done in this straight line. Whereas in this bendy line, so you might be kicking yourself, you know, because you think I should be here already at this goal, at this end goal of this savior, you know, or it's going to come soon if I just hold tight on this narrative, on this line for a little bit longer. Where then you're ignoring the fact that your phi, your life force, your energetic balance is calling out for you to follow your intuition and trust your divinity, your intuition, and know that it isn't straightforward. And so when we do have dips, when we do have the ebb and then the flow, when we're in those ebb moments where life is coming at us, you know, 110%, this is where you can get very downhearted, and you can spiral down into something that is not useful for yourself in order to be stuck even further. Whereas if you can recognize that you can't control all outside forces, you can control yourself and the energetic force that you put out there and accept in to a great extent. But on the wider stage, other people have either free will to do nothing and allow others to puppet them on this narrative, or have free will to absolutely be in their toxicity, in their acid, in the, or you know, where the batteries are rusting out and taking it out on others. But at the same time, if you're in this space of life where you're kicking yourself a bit because you feel like you should have just done certain steps and gotten to here, this end this end never ends. They're going to continue this narrative, and it'll change name again, and it'll continue on again. There'll be another light point, another savior point. Those of you who know that shit happens, it's how you deal with it. It's how you stay in the middle of this bendy road that is between you and your divine feminine, your divine masculine, that you are the being in the middle of your energetic forces, you know, walking the path and utilizing the two, combining the two. They are of the same body, but you know, often they are separated, or one is very much ignored and the other is not, and it's out of balance. So it's for you in any experience in life to find this middle ground, which is super important, and create balance and harmony on the hop, so to speak, in the present moment, with no matter what arrows are coming in your way, directed at both your divinities or one of your divinities. This is where you test yourself to stay in that balanced place, to stay on that tightrope that allows you to dip into the two as and when needed, in equal and unequal measures when needed, in order to balance out the outside situation around you. And so again, it is really all within. If you look at let's see, what do I want to put up next? If you look at the, let's see, how do I, so if you look at the apple symbol, we all know this symbol. We all know it very, very well, in that it is an iconic symbol, but it's an apple, but it's not whole. It has a bite, a chunk taken out of it here. And so it is not whole. So it is not a balanced apple. It is not a wholeness apple. It is not made up of a whole being anymore. It's got a chunk taken out of it. And they used this very much as a sigil, and look how powerful this sigil has been. Now, again, repeating the same scripts that have worked previously. So this is where, as I predicted in readings way gone by, that religion was handing itself over to still be in control, but under a different name, under a different denomination, under a different control, and that would be the technocrats and the eugenicists, and the two combined because they have interests on both sides about what they do. And so this is where we're seeing the merging of, and again, they use this apple that has been super successful because it is a very powerful sigil of life, of wholeness. They use this with a chunk out of it, and it has worked for them because of the repeat, the loop of the story that works, in that we then look at the story of Adam and Eve. You know, that they had, it was Eve that, and I love this photograph actually that I found, or chart, because you see that there's this sort of mad type party going on. You know, the snake's got a top hat on and a cane and a suit, a penguin suit, and Adam's up there smoking some weed and you know, super chilled, doing his donuts. And the elephant's obviously gotten a bit of a blowback from that, and the monkey, you know, is monkeying around here. And then we've got this random, is that, what is that? Is it a toucan? No, what kind of bird is that? But you know, it's stork. Is it a stork? Which would be about fertility, about creating something new. And so this is where the old story is, that, you know, she takes the bite out of the forbidden fruit. It's a distorted and disfigured story, but you know, this is what it is in many people's belief systems. And she takes a bite out of the apple, and all of a sudden the world changes, you know, because of this knowledge that is being passed down. And so this is where we look at then, if we stop sharing for a minute, and I will go to here and shut that down so it stops beeping. Let's see, sketchbook. We'll add an image, or we won't, we'll see. Might need to. Okay, so we'll add this image 1 second. So if we look at the phi symbol, and so take that out of there. So if we look at the phi symbol here, and you see that if you are to turn this around, you see it's another half of the apple. It is a half of the apple in that, and also it represents this space, this heart chakra space, in that if I was to duplicate this this image, one second, and then we move it across. If we turn it that way, move it across, we have the heart, or we have an apple. This is of wholeness. This is of balance, and this is where, again, the red and the blue, as in diagrams with the heart, they use the red and the blue to depict the oxygen-rich blood and the lack of oxygenated blood in the red and the blue to show on the diagram. But this is life, the phi, it is the wholeness that we find within ourselves. It is the yin and the yang symbol that runs through it. Again, it is this cross between it. When you put the two together, you've got this cross here, which is us trying to find that balance point, you know, in the old story of Jesus with the cross, and you know, he's carrying that cross, you know, he's balancing out outside forces with this cross, and he's staying in the middle ground, the non-judgmental ground. And right now we are being pushed and pulled to take a side. We have been for a very long time. We're very indoctrinated to do so, to take a side, to absolutely and completely label something evil and something good. Instead of, we've been indoctrinated to do that, instead of looking at the intent behind it, i.e., I'm using my technology for good. I'm wanting it for people, I'm using it for people's greatness as well as my own. I'm not sharing out hatred on there. I'm not doing that, but there are many people that are. That's not the technology itself, it's that person's personal intent. And so anything can be a tool. It is how we use it and what intent we put behind it. Now, as far as this message goes today, with what is going on right now, the bite out of the apple with the apple symbol here is coming into play again for me, very much so, in that it is absolutely, come on. It is absolutely coming back. The symbology of this is coming back into full force, into full play. You see here, we've got the apple within that phi, those two phi symbols. And so here we would have this bite taken out of our life force. And this is happening right now in that through certain knowledge that has been found, there is a absolute change to DNA, an absolute change to the being itself. In that we're noticing those changes within people, and so again they are out of balance there. So there's going to be so much more that is drawing us, that is going to get really weird here, that is going to draw us to be out of balance and going to encourage us to be out of balance. And it's going to draw us into making an absolute firm decision of good and bad, evil and benevolent and malevolent and benevolent. You know, all of those things really we're getting pulled apart with. you know, to pick a side on, to choose a side. We're even seeing it in the movement here in the UK. There are a lot of people concentrating on, and this is through ego, and this is where going on this kind of journey as any kind of activist or getting stuff done, it's so important to be able to do that inner work, to be able to be flexible and bendable on the journey, in order to not have your ego eat itself up and want more, be hungry for more. This is where we're seeing a lot of that, the separation even within the ranks, which is exactly what they want to happen, because there's something within themselves that doesn't feel quite authentic. And so they're calling out other people as not being authentic, which is causing more of a divide than even the government has bothered to try to do so yet. And so it's doing the work for them. So it's super important that we keep this in mind of, are we in balance? Are we reacting from a balanced place? Because, you know, yes, we need to get stuff done, but if we're not coming from a balanced place, in that, are you balancing out the pros and cons of say, calling out shills, but then at the same time taking away numbers from a march that you believe in? Also, the main aim of it is part of your ethos too. That would be acting from an imbalanced place without wisdom. It would be allowing, even if there are shills, which there are, be allowing them to actually harm your movement, harm your flow, harm your force, your combined intent and combined power with like-minded people. And so this is where it's key to stay in balance and, you know, make the changes in the game. But don't allow the game to take over your life, because believe you me, this is played like a game at the highest levels, at the highest esoteric levels. This is played like a game, like that game Go. The movements are strategized and the reactions are predicted to a very accurate degree. So it's up to us to stay in our wholeness so that we are able to act from a place of balance, but not from a place of predictability, let's say, to be able to move and flow with the path, knowing it is not a fixed linear line that is going to get us to this end goal, but it is a culmination of movements, of flows, of interactions, of experiences that are going to get us there. And through all of those and more, we stay in this balanced place that is in the middle of our yin and yang, of our divine feminine, our divine masculine, our sun and our moon, the mother and the father. And so creating balance in your life today doesn't just have an impact on you, but it has an impact on everything that you care about, everything that you put intent behind, because this is where the power is, the middle line, the line that, you know, doesn't allow you to affiliate yourself to one fixed thing. It is a culmination of things, of like-minded people, of like-minded activities, experiences, but, you know, not to be labeled, not to be fixed. Again, this is something the government loves, because then they can easily tear down anything good once it is given a name. It is super important to know the names of those that are opposing you, which is why these shadowy beings behind the puppets that they put out there on stage do that. We don't know their names. I think I've come across one of their names, but we don't know their names for sure, and that's for a reason, because they know those that are adept could use those names very powerfully to pull down that curtain that they have hiding themselves, to pierce through that veil and actually do something about it. And so this is why they don't give their name in order for it to maintain some more control over us, rather than us being able to control over them. And so the hidden, the unseen is pulling us in different directions. It is super important for us to, if we can't know their names, that to know thyself, to know self, in that we stay in balance because of that, because we are confident in ourselves, because we are confident we've gotten to a place in spirituality, in growth, that we don't give two F's what anybody thinks about us. We don't accept other people's judgments of us. We don't accept that because we're very careful to not judge others. Where you get into trouble is where you don't accept any judgment from anyone else, but then you continue to be a judge over other people and judge them harshly and quickly. This is imbalanced, it's not in wisdom, and it's not going to create expansion either in the things or people that you believe in or yourself, because you are projecting out there what you won't accept for yourself. That's not a balanced place. You'll end up eating yourself up through ego with that. And so with that being said, I hope this has helped a little bit, that the symbology of the apple is all about the balanced yin and yang, the divine feminine, divine masculine, and being in the middle of that. That's where the knowledge is. That's where the wisdom of how to apply that knowledge is, and not being so fixed, being in flow with it, so that it can be a wheel that turns into a spiral. Let's say, where's the spiral? Let's add one more. Spiral. It won't let me. Come on. So here you see, this is where the spiral is created, in that you see the spiral starting here and it would go down, and this is where there are realms and layers of understanding within the Phi message, because you know that spiral of creation never ends. You know, it keeps moving, it keeps flowing. And if you're in balance here with this cross, then you can absolutely flow with that energy rather than being drowned by it. And so it's just a quick message about balance and about finding your balance in anything that you are facing right now. Divisions in family are a big thing for many of my clients and friends and myself. Divisions regarding the attack on children, that, you know, we even have our own children saying they would like to take the infusion because it's going to save other people, which is so dark and so disgusting. That makes it hard for me to act out of a balanced place. I'm really having to try. I'm really having to put effort into it, which I don't usually have to do to this extent. But the audacity and the audacity is the right word, of governments, puppeteers and puppets, bringing this down the line to our children disgusts me and surprises me, even for them. And so that they're not hiding anymore. And so it's for us to get that knowledge and use it, the knowledge that they use, that they stay balanced. Very often it's headlines if, you know, a prime minister loses his rag on TV, if he loses it and goes crazy on TV, that would be headline news, because even when they're getting called all of the names under the sun, they usually, for the main part, manage to stay balanced. Why? Because they're not accepting the judgment from you. You're cattle to them. And so again, we can learn from that, in that they are in this balanced place. Doesn't matter what they're doing or what you perceive them to be doing, whether it's good or evil, they are in this balanced place. And so your arrows, your attacks don't hit them, because they don't exist in this spiral. So your arrow ends here in their divinities. You know, when it hits their divinities, it ends there. It doesn't penetrate in, because they don't accept it. They're in this balanced place of they know themselves very, very well. They know their purpose. They know what they need to do and say and dress in, etc. And so again, it's very easy for them to stay in balance. Not so easy for us on the other end of all of their games, all of the manipulations. but it is doable. And in that doable energy, this is the huge expansion and growth that being in balance, being in wholeness creates within oneself. So I really appreciate you listening. I hope this made sense to you all. And it gives you something that is a source of greatness for today, that it just hits the right note, that you know you needed to hear it, and you know exactly how to use it, utilize it, and what to do with it, how to apply it in your life today, and see the results from that, to be able to see the dividends in real time today. That's my intent for you. I thank you for all of your loving intents for me. I appreciate it so, so much. And this really is a family, an international family of people that I feel around. I feel you around often, spiritually, and I know that some of you do that with me too. So it's a gift. It's a real gift that we're using. That's good that we're practicing it now. Let's put it that way. So much love, balance, and wholeness. If you want a personal reading with me, hit me up at truedivinemedia@gmail.com, or you can find it in the description box. Follow my socials, have a look at those. I'm going to try to grow those more, and I'll be showing you some of the designs, maybe later today, maybe tomorrow, that I've been doing, and that will be up there for you to buy should you feel that you want to. I know everybody will look awesome in them as they buy them, and hopefully I can expand this into being able to, you know, I would love to be able to be buying in dresses and whatnot, and having the designs put on them, different styles. It is, you know, different types of dresses, and you know, inject some fun into, inject some Aquarian energy into this field. And so look out for that. I appreciate you all, love you all. Mwah. Balance and wholeness vibrations.